How many snaps did they run in the 14 personnel?
That's only for us.
100% of the snaps.
What's going on, guys? Marco here with another rookie profile, and today I am breaking down North Carolina State running back Zonovan Knight. So we've talked about this in our running back rankings. He is my running back 5 in this class. He's Justin's running back somewhere after 5. I don't know off the top of my head. I think he might be his running back 6 or 7. But I want to pause for a second because you got to know running back 5 in this class is okay, great. But outside of the top 3 running backs, really the top 4 running backs, there is a huge divide. So obviously there's Breece Hall, kind of in a tier of his own. There's Isaiah Spiller, Kenneth Walker. A lot of people have Kenneth Walker in kind of ahead of Isaiah Spiller by a good amount. And then Rachaad White is our running back 4. And after Rachaad White, there is a huge drop-off to where Zonovan Knight or for Justin Jerome Ford fall. But it's still good to know because these guys you can add in the mid to late 3rd round of your rookie drafts. And if they land in a team that's going to give them opportunity, they could definitely pop. So Zonovan Knight, like I said, he comes out of NC State. He is 5'10", 209 pounds. When the season starts, he will be turning 21. He turns 21 this month, at the end of this month in April. So he's coming out pretty young. He broke out really, really early. He played a ton of time as a true freshman. He averaged right around 700 to 750 yards rushing every season, and that was only on around 130, 140, 50 touches. So he is a pretty efficient runner. He also catches the ball quite a bit. His freshman season that he did break out, he only caught 7 passes, but his next 2 seasons he caught 20, 21 respectively. So he is definitely a threat in the receiving game or in the passing game. And let's talk about a little bit of his true strengths and weaknesses. So in all reality, like I said, he's going to go mid to late 3rd round of a rookie draft. He's not going to get the draft capital to really want to invest much more than that on him, but his upside is clearly there. So when you look at his strengths, his clear strengths are his vision and his anticipation. So he anticipates lanes and creases better than a lot of the other running backs in this class. Obviously not in that top 3 or 4 category, but he leads the pack when you look at the rest of this group, I think. His footwork is tremendous. He makes really nice jab cuts as well. And he's very patient. So he does a really good job of pairing his vision and his patience. And it really does help him find lanes, find creases that a lot of other running backs in this class aren't going to be able to find. So at the NFL level, those are the few differentiators that are going to separate a running back who has a shot to stick around or a running back who's really going to flame out and not do much. The next strength that I think is a big one for him is contact balance. So he is 5'10", 209. So he's not this huge domineering presence, but he has really interesting contact balance because he's not, a low center of gravity runner, which is typically what you see for guys who are like this true contact balance superstar. But he doesn't really bounce off of guys, but the way that he maneuvers his body control as a running back and as a receiver is really interesting. And it helps him to be elusive. It helps him to kind of get away and escape tackles a little bit easier. He's near the top of of college football in forced missed tackles every season, which is a huge bump for him. Obviously, he runs in a system where he does a ton of zone scheme, and that's going to help him if he can land in a team at the NFL level that he can function in a zone scheme. But the other thing that I think could help him stick onto a team, which could be good for you to invest in your rookie drafts, in your 3rd rounds, is that he plays special teams. And I know you're thinking, well, that's not really that great. But it does mean that he'll probably be more likely to stick to a team than some of the other guys in this class who maybe aren't willing to do that or haven't done it well. He returned 3 kicks for touchdowns in his college career. So I think he's got some staying power with his skill set. Let's talk about some of his weaknesses. Pass blocking is kind of a weakness for a lot of running backs, but he kind of just launches himself at people. And if it's an edge rusher or any guy of any sort of real strength coming at the quarterback, they typically just bounce him out of the way. So he's got to figure out who he needs to block in these situations. And again, it's something that's super coachable. So it's not really a weakness, but it's definitely not something that you could ever label as a strength for him, or at least right now. top end speed is a big weakness for him. He's not breaking off these huge runs. And even when he does get the ball in space, he's got some okay explosiveness, short area burst, but it's nothing that you're going to get super, super excited about. I think his versatility is one of the things that helps him, but what he can do with that versatility is a little bit capped. And that's why he is in this, third or fourth tier of running backs, depending how you split up the top 4 guys. The other thing is it's not a glaring weakness, but he can work on ball security. He does have some fumbles throughout his college career that he needs to kind of clean up if he's going to succeed at the next level. But overall, I think Zonovan Knight will land with a team in the draft. I think he will get drafted. I think that he will find a way to stay onto the team because he's already talking to teams about his special teams ability because he knows that's how he's going to stick onto a roster. So he could end up being an RB3 on a team. But injuries happen to running backs all the time. And if you're going to go in the 3rd, 4th round and you're not going to trade those picks for assets or for future assets or package them to move up a little bit, then use them on running backs. I mean, sure, a wide receiver can be fun. And if they have this crazy speed, that's always exciting. Maybe they do something. But I know Justin does as well. If you're going to use the mid to late 3rd and 4th, and maybe you go to 5th round rookie picks, use them on running backs. Those are the guys who are way more likely to pop, I think, than a wide receiver. And I think Zonovan Knight is on or near the top of that list when it comes to guys who you can get in that round, who can stick around, who can pop, who can get opportunity, and maybe be a guy who at the very least gives you fill-in bye week, injury fill-in potential. And especially as players expand the formats they're playing in, super flex, expanded rosters, 10-team with big rosters, 12-team with big rosters, 14-team. Depth is so important. We just came out of a lot of COVID issues, and obviously those could still be happening. So I think guys like Zonovan Knight who are going to find a way to stick to a team, those are the running backs that give you the opportunity to maybe surprise your league and take a guy who ends up being fairly consistent at some point in the season. And it doesn't mean it will happen, but he's got, I think, some of the most upside for it to happen when you get past those top 4 running backs. All right, guys. Well, don't forget to follow me on Twitter at Marco_14P. Don't forget to follow 14P on Twitter at 14P_fantasy. Subscribe to our Patreon if you want breakdowns of your dynasty teams, advice, tips, and tricks for your dynasty teams and your dynasty leagues. If you want to see our dynasty and rookie rankings, both of them have tiers as well. And if you want access to videos a little bit early, we are going to be dropping brand new dynasty and rookie tiered rankings, I think at the end of this week. So make sure you sign up for our Patreon, patreon.com/14P fantasy. Drop your questions below or hit me up on Twitter. We have a ton more content coming out as we get closer and closer to the draft. I will see you guys next time. Peace.